Hello everyone, my name is Wang Lixun. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Linguistics and Modern Language Studies. In this online lecture, I will be talking about English-Chinese parallel corpus for language studies. Here is the overview. First, I will talk about parallel corpus and the English-Chinese parallel concordancing. Then I will give some examples about English-Chinese comparative studies based on parallel corpus. Then I will conclude. So, what is corpus used for? Through the use of computer-assisted concordance tools, corpus-based analysis encourages students to explore and discover patterns of real and authentic data. Corpus as a tool has great potential for language teaching and learning. English-Chinese parallel corpus provides rich and authentic language data for comparative language studies. So now I want to talk about the English-Chinese parallel corpus I developed at the EdUHK. This is an online corpus freely accessible by the general public. The text in the corpus are pairs of translated text. There are 2.9 million words in English and the translations in Chinese. The genres include novels, fables, speech, essays, academic articles, legal documents, etc. So, what is parallel concordancing? Well, parallel concordancing is a tool which has been developed to respond to the desire to study language in its natural context of use. It allows us to place side by side for comparison two contexts produced for a given item, phrase, word, or morpheme, one being a translation of the other. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use the online English-Chinese parallel concordancer program. So you can see this is the English-Chinese parallel concordancer website I developed with my colleagues. If you click on the search corpus menu item, you will get to this interface. So in the search box, you can type in a word, for example, good, and then you can choose the match mode, perhaps equals to, or starts with, or ends with, or contains. So let's choose equals to. Then here you can choose search parallel corpus only, search monolingual corpus only, or search both. So now we want to search the parallel corpus, and you click this button here. You can see all the corpus files available. There are parallel corpus files and there are monolingual corpus files. So we can deselect all the files first, okay? Then you choose the text you want. For example, Alice in Wonderland. So we choose this one. Then you click on the search button here and you wait for a while. It may take a few seconds depending on the internet connection speed. And after a few seconds, you should be able to see the parallel text shown on the screen. On the left-hand side, we'll have the English text, and on the right-hand side, we'll have the Chinese text, just like this. So you can see the English text on the left with the word good in the text, and the Chinese translation on the right. Okay, so this is how you search the English-Chinese parallel corpus. So now I'm going to give you some examples of how to use parallel corpus for language studies. We can do this at lexical level, at syntactical level, and at discourse level. For example, at lexical level, I want to give you an example about the word good versus hao. Okay. We all know that good means hao, right? So people regard this as translation equivalent. They think good equals to hao. However, good is actually a very complicated English word. It has many different functions. It can mean many different things. So if we search the English-Chinese parallel corpus online, we will find a lot of examples of good in the English corpus, and then at the same time we will see all the Chinese translations. Let's look at these concordance outcomes on the screen. If you look on the left-hand side, you see all the examples of good. For example, a good fortune, a good word, a good-humored, etc. However, if you look at the Chinese translations on the right-hand side, you will notice that good is rarely translated into hao in Chinese. For example, a good fortune in Chinese is 有钱的单身汉. Okay, a good word is translated into 吹嘘几句. Okay, a good-humored is translated into 性子. Okay, 性子很好. So by looking at the parallel concordancing output, you will immediately realize that the so-called translation equivalent do not apply quite often. Okay, quite often the word is not translated into that translation equivalent. Then we look the other direction. If we search the word hao in the Chinese corpus, we can find out actually hao is also rarely translated into good in English. For example, 没有饿死好，那你就得干活。But in the English translation, 好 is not translated at all. So the translation is, while there is life in you, keep going. Because this 好 is just a discourse marker. It doesn't have any real meaning. Okay, it's just a gap. Okay, so it's not translated into English at all. 这家伙总交好运道，好运道 in English is lucky. Lucky already means good. Okay, you don't need to say good luck. Okay, so again, the Chinese character 好 is rarely translated into good in English. But if we don't look at the corpus evidence, we don't realize it. And as a language learner, we will not be able to use the English words properly. Okay, we will keep saying good, good, good all the time. But in fact, we shouldn't. We should use great, splendid, wonderful, etc., bright, instead of good, right? So this is just one quick example of using the corpus, parallel corpus for lexical studies, comparative studies.